Alright, so in this video I'm going to focus on drivability. The car runs but doesn't run all that well. I suspect I have a misfire. So I'm going to begin by hoisting up the car, running it, and checking the temperature of each individual runner on the exhaust manifold. I think my rearmost cylinders might be dead. If that's the case, we'll pop the fuel rail off and try to check for the flow of each individual injector. So cylinder 4 consistently had a much lower temperature on the exhaust header. We were looking at like 100 degrees Celsius on this one versus 160 to 180 on all the other ones. So I'm assuming that this injector might be slightly dead. I got shocked pretty good. It's got plenty of spark. So I'm going to pull the fuel rail up. I'm going to jerry rig a injector tester with some bottles and try to see if I can get a good spray pattern out of each injector. So for cooling the radiator, I'm not going to be using the mechanical fan that was on the car. I've bought two electric fans that I'm going to mount right about here. And then I'm going to wire this up with a relay to the dash. Now I am going to have to make a shroud, so that's what I'm going to work on next here. At this point, the car stopped running entirely, so I spent the next few weeks trying to diagnose the problem. I chose not to film this part because wiring and schematics are kind of boring, but ultimately I did find the problem. I pulled the cam covers off to check the timing. The timing was good. I went ahead and bought new spark plug wires, and that didn't seem to make a difference. I then checked the fuel pressure. I put a little nipple here so I can measure the fuel off of an external gauge. I have 2 bars of pressure. That's perfectly fine for the system. I then checked the relay for the fuel injectors. That came out okay. I was just about out of options when I thought we might as well throw the cold start injector back in and the auxiliary air valve. I did put this cold start injector back in and the piping, then I did throw the aux air valve back on, and as soon as I did that, the car started up, ran fine, idled fine. I say let's take it out and take a test drive. Tires came in. We'll throw these on and see how it looks. For the rest of this video, I'm going to button up the engine bay and fix that fuel line issue, and then hopefully we can take it for a longer drive and do a more thorough test run. Alright, I've now adjusted that fuel rail so to accommodate the fuel coming off of the two fuel pressure regulators, and then I've straightened this out so it goes right to the return line. I'm going to go ahead and install it. I think this will be good. Awesome! It all fits together pretty nice. Alright, I'm going to use some vacuum hose with this little Y connector to connect the little ports on the fuel pressure regulators back into the intake manifold. And here we are, guys. We have a functional running Porsche 928. Now this thing is not in its final form, but I'd say it looks pretty good the way it is. Done a couple things off camera, like throw the hood on, throw the power steering belt on, and wire the auxiliary cooling fan. I have plenty more planned for this project, so stay tuned. But for now, let's give this engine build series a proper send-off with some rolling shots.